Status. Status is like there are 3 projects. There is Orchard 1, there is Orchard 2, and there is admin theme. Demos. Do you have demos? Any admin theme demo, just to show what's left to do, or talk about issues?
There's actually much more to do compared to a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Lots of issues. Well, some issues are small, others a little bit bigger, but not too bad. Lots of RTL issues, but they've been created by a few people doing a good job there. But nothing to show from my end. Just Matt, fortunately, has been working on punching them out, many of them.
Okay. Topics. Matthew's rant. I want to talk about what Matthews wrote on the forum just to find solutions. We are down to 1 page of issues, yes, because there are like 3 of them on the triage last week. That's good. Let's see that. Status. I will fetch it. So, 7 days. Merge branch 110x in dev, fine. Then this is the good branch. Yes, this is 110x branch, adding Orchard.Tags.Cloud's no data message. So there were 3 issues about when some widgets had no data, like tags, recent blog post, and another one, archives. They were showing empty. Now they should display a message. Okay, and there are no tags to display. Fine. Hello, George. Merge default delete commit message feature. This is the admin theme. Blogs, hide parts, comment metadata on blog, so no, not showing the metadata on the blog itself, just on a blog post by default. Good. Because nobody cares about when the blog was created, okay, or who was the author, just the blog post. 110x fixes and null check for version IDs. Virus Trinity, yes, just a null check, because apparently if you have kind of corrupted databases, you could have nulls and it would break your site, so it's just a simple null check. What is that feature? Admin theme. I have a branch there. Oh, this is because when we merge. Okay. So and then so this was after the triage, all these commits. So what we do now, based on Matthew's feedback, is that after triage, if we have time and we remember, we merge 110x into dev. So now dev is up to date after triage. This is Matthew's improvement of the shape tracing that he demoed last week. So your improvements and the other messages for the widgets, remaining widgets, and the issues were closed, I assume. Yep, beautiful. Then you can see all the other commits. Admin theme, admin theme, admin theme. Let's see, we have some Sipke, we have some Matthew. Jasmin is back, and look at that, boom, 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 boom. Isn't it crazy? Look at all these fixing. So many things to fix, but at least they are fixed. So there is some progress. Look at that, it's crazy. So Jasmin is the new, and look, it's a competition. They're like, no, you can't have more bug fixes than me. So lots of things for RTL, which is good, and also the common issues that were opened by many users, actually. So if we look at the repository, so if you remember, I had asked Hossein 2 weeks ago to check the RTL and to open some bugs, which he did. And there is another user, I don't know his actual name, just his username, Eiffel, and he's also creating a lot of issues, like by 20. When he opens them, he opens by 20. Then he stops and opens 20 more on the admin theme, again for RTL, which is very good. So we have actual users validating the RTL, and you see we have lots of issues here. Well, most of them are for admin themes, but that's good, right? So at least we know what has to be done to make it work. So thank you, Jasmin, thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Silke, for committing, and Eiffel and Hossein for finding all the issues. I'm not sure Eiffel has provided fixes. No, I don't see. Okay, good. So progress is being made. Good questions on Orchard 1? Good, good. We'll come back on the admin theme after. Orchard 2. No, Orchard, because on my other machine it's not called this way. Fetch all. Check out. So Orchard 2, you see Nick, myself, Alexander, Jean-Thierry, Kevin, 7 days ago. So 7 days ago. Refactoring, which I merged. Nick has been working on refactoring the file system providers. Kevin working on the auth2 branch, improving it, fixing the bugs. That's good. He's reacting to the issues which are created on the repository, so that's very good. Still Nick's branch. So Alexander configured the CI to work also on the branches. So when someone creates a pull request or creates a new branch, it will be CI'd. Kevin working on auth2. Mostly also fixing merge conflicts, because he's still working on a different branch. My refactoring, useless branch, refactoring, lots of refactoring, but at least I merged it at some point. Yeah, it was merged in master at this point already, which means it was working. Jean-Thierry about a precompiled module, implementing the way that you can drag and drop a module which is just composed of a binary and some views. So now it works. I tried and it works. Fixing build back file. What is that? Yep. Nothing interesting here. Configuring logging at the application level. So I refactored the logging because it was painful to handle. So Nick had made it very modular. So all the logging will be from a module. But as startup, because there is still no module, it's very hard to go grab a specific module and register it. So it was hard. So now the login is integrated in the standard hosting app, like any MVC app or any ASP.NET app, like this. You see add console, or you can configure it with a configuration. I also had some samples to support configuration. And there is a module called Diagnostics, which will also provide, let me show you, it will enable exception pages, developer pages. It will also map any error to the error page, and same thing for 404 page. So there is now a new error.cshtml in this module and a .form.cshtml. So any other module could override these views. It's not based on shapes right now, but it could be changed to a shape. So this is the standard error and not found pages that are created now. So that's good, and that's a module. So you can even replace it by your own. So that's some refactoring under diagnostics. This is Nick working on a branch to make a module discovery and extension info discovery more extensible. This is Kevin supporting error to be displayed when there is an error with a validation of an endpoint, okay, for OpenID. This is a quite significant refactoring of how to do things now for modules. I will explain you. Let me show you. Well, probably it will be faster if I don't open Visual Studio. It will be faster because everything else will be faster. So if I just drag and drop a folder, does it work? File, open folder, this one. So if I go into SRC and I go into a module, and I take a module with parts, like the title part. This one is interesting because there are two things. Well, yeah. So now when you create a module, I remove the notion of drivers. Well, before this commit, there were two things. There were three things: handlers, drivers, and display drivers. I removed driver because I made a separate concept, and well, we don't need them anymore. But there is something which is called display that could be called now again driver, like in Orchard 1. So this thing, title part display, is to handle the display, okay, like in Orchard 1. Display, edit, update, okay, composing UI with parts. So this is a content part display driver for the title part. It will be only called with a title part, okay. There is also, you need also to register the part itself as a content part. So you add it as a singleton. This is the way we were doing it with drivers in Orchard 1. So in Orchard 1, to be able to have a part register in the system, you had to create a driver, and we would automatically find a driver. Now you just say there is a content part called title part. This is how you register the title part. You just add it to the DI. Okay, and this is used to be able to list the content parts. And then there is the notion of part handler, iContent part handler, which is a content handler, but that will be called for a part. Okay, so if you just do iContent handler, it will be called for all the events on a content item. If you implement iContent part handler, the same events will be called, but only with the part attached. Here, title part handler, which is in the handlers module, and this one just says, to get the metadata when the content item has a title part, then the display text is title. Okay, very simple. And another one, so something I had to change also, because when the handler is updating the data, I will show you with the identity module, which is the next commit here. So I created the identity module. The identity module is there to support the identity part. So there is an identity part which only contains the string identifier, okay? And the startup says register the identity part. It has a part handler. The handler is implementing initializing, which will create an identity. So whenever the new method is called on the content manager, we want to assign an identifier, okay? And the get content item metadata adds this identity as part of, well, as the identifier as part of the identity of the content item. I also refactored the identity of the content item to make it so. Bertrand needs to listen because he knows how it works in Orchard 1. So content identity in Orchard 1, it was kind of a mess, not because of it, but because of how we were using it. Content identity is made of multiple identifiers. So the alias can be one, the identity part can be another one, and you can add as many of as you want. And there is an issue when you want to compare two items, because they might not have the same identities, but one of them might match. And in this case, it should be the same. So I made it, and also it was handling the storage, the serialization as part of the content item identity by trying to create a format with slashes to separate the things and then unencoding things. It's kind of it was kind of messy. I simplified it. Now an identity is just, it's still a content identity object. Let me show you. Where is it? Content management. Content management abstractions, I assume. Content identity. So now it just has a dictionary of identities like before, of string. You can still add the get. It has a has identity specifier, like as identifier. It's the same thing. The equality will just check that one of the identities is the same. So two content item identity are the same if one of their identities are the same with the same name. And now unique test to check that. So that's all it does. There is no more serialization. And the serialization will be able, and there is a custom JSON converter if we want to serialize that as JSON, which we'll do in import-export files. So this way it will just save the dictionary as an object, which will be indexed by the name of the identities and the value. Okay, so it will be also nicer to manage. So that's it. And next step is, yes, the identities also can provide, yes. So the goal is that we can also query items by identities much more easily. And this is why, where is the module identity? Where is the module? Oh, this is another branch. Oh, I'm lost. Here. No, this is the web app. Title. Identity. So in the startup, you can see that I'm registering an identity part index provider, which means indexes. So whenever identity part, so whenever we index a content item here, so it's an index provider of content item, and this content item has an identity part, then we'll store the identifier in identity part index. This way we can query content items by their identifier. So this column will be indexed and everything. So this will be fast. And every part which provides an identity can provide its own loader for this identity. It's like in Orchard 1, but a little bit different with indexes now. So that's identity. Yep. Okay. I think that's it. Fixing this is because of the refactoring.
Can I express an opinion?
Depends. Well, go on.
So yeah, I was there when we designed the first identity system, and it was very pure and great and over-engineered. And I'm really questioning the usefulness of it. I actually don't think there are many people who use the fact that you can have more than one identity provider on a single content item, which is what this dictionary is about. Usually you have one part per content item that is contributing one identity. For example, on a product, it would be your SKU, etc. And in a way, it's more related to where you store the data than anything else. And yeah, the main point being that there is usually only one identity per content item, and that's a huge simplification.
So we could save it, refactor it by saying, instead of adding an identity, like we do for display text, we just assign the identity, and the last one to apply wins.
Yeah, it could even be an error condition if more than one part wants to contribute an identity to a given item.
Okay. That's weird, because then when you add, for instance, the author out part, which will provide an identity, you have to remove the identity part.
Yeah, I understand. There would be some complications, but that would be nothing to fix in comparison to the huge number of complications you have with the current system. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily completely bad, but I think we should have a good discussion on whether this is really useful.
Okay, I try to make it simpler. You don't want to go that simpler. Because I don't want to break something which works, and today it's working. So.
Well, Orchard 2 is the opportunity to.
Oh yeah, sure.
Try things and break things. So it's now is the right time.
Breaking meaning maybe I will oversee something and too much oversimplify and then lose some features. So that's why I kept the notion that you can have multiple identifiers. But again, now it's completely different. How do you check the quality? It's just, okay, do you have this one of the same? If you have one of the same, okay, you're the same. That's fine. You don't need many.
It's actually super complicated how we compare identities.
Yeah, and now it's simpler.
Yeah, well, it could be even simpler than that. So
yes, if you are
on this course, we have a good set of power users for Orchard, who would probably be the most likely to have used the more advanced features here. So yeah, it would be interesting to know who, if anyone, is using that capability of Orchard 1.
Never used it.
Not on purpose. That's different. I don't even know what's the point of having multiple identities. I mean, it's good to be able that multiple providers can provide their identity.
Yes. That we should keep.
But in the end, we only use one. So today I'm storing the two of them, or the three of them, or whatever. But only one is sufficient.
Yes.
Which one is winning over the others? We could handle it like the display text, having one property, and they will all provide their logic, and based on dependency, you can redefine who wins.
Or it could be configuration, actually. If you have more than one, you could actually have a gesture in the admin where you choose which one wins. In the content item type.
I mean, you have to know all of them.
Yeah.
At the same time, it might be an issue if you want to work with two different databases, for instance. Because maybe in one system, it will use one identity, and on the other, it will use the other. And you don't, or maybe on one system, there will be one identity, and on the other, there will be two identities. And you don't want to lose one of them because it might be the one that is used in the other system.
Yeah. If your two systems are not configured with the same type system, you are going to have, is going to be one of many problems.
Or if at some point you decide to change which one is the winner.
Sure.
Like you enable a new module which will provide new identities, but it will only touch the ones that have been touched, so the old content items will never change.
Sure. There will be problems, but in that case, the result will be that you'll have multiple imported items, for example.
Yeah, that could be an issue. Yeah, so for these reasons, I like to keep for now the two identities, just to be sure we're not breaking anything.
Okay, well, I've said what I had to say.
And trying to find what is the complexity might be more interesting, because in this case, if we only add one identity, Okay, what would be simpler?
Well, comparing identities for one is something that would be a lot simpler.
Yeah, but if I made it simpler.
Indexing those identities would be simpler as well. Querying on them.
No, it wouldn't, because the indexing will still be needed on every identity. Every identity provider. So if alias needs to be able to query by alias, and the identity part needs to be able to query by identity part. So we need the same code in the end. Whether we have 1 or 2 or 3 identities per content item, we need the same code for each provider. Assigning the identity is almost the same work, because let's look at it. Crap, where is my identity module? Is there? Identity. So here we just say add identifier per identifier. It's not identity equals that.
What about developing a part that contributes to identity? Because that used to be fairly complex. You needed to actually understand the identity system if you wanted to build such a part.
To build a part? This like identity part?
Yeah, not necessarily just. Let's say that I build a product part, for example, that has a SKU that is supposed to be able to act as an identity.
You just implement get content item metadata in the handler.
Right. You have those
details
to implement. That may be simplified.
Oh, the ultimate simplification. Okay, maybe that's what you mean. Sorry. Okay, and I misunderstood. Maybe the ultimate simplification is. Well, and then it's opposite to your SKU example. An ultimate simplification would be to have every content item have a GUID done.
Well, I hate GUIDs, but something unique globally, yes.
Let's call it a GUID.
You're describing identity. That's what identity is.
Oh, crap. We have it already. I built the system this way. But they're not globally unique. That's the issue. So the content item IDs, they are independent from the database ID.
Yes.
In Orchard 2. Not in Orchard 1. In Orchard 1, when you create a new content item ID, the database ID will be the content item ID. In Orchard 2, there are two different things. So your content item ID will never change.
Okay.
So we could use that, but as the unique. But the issue is that it's unique in a database. In another database, you could have the same one. Yeah, the
database ID, I think should almost never surface anywhere.
It's not well, and it's
that's not identity.
Yep, and it's not the case. So if I look at the database, let me show you. So yes, content items have their own IDs, which are not database one. It's an incremental counter, but per system, and it's not unique. Meaning, if you have another system and you want to merge things, then there can be conflicts with the So we can't rely on this one. It's good for local things, but we can't rely on this one. So we need a globally unique identifier sort of that, which will solve the import-export things. But then the SKU example you provided will not be solved.
Why?
I don't know if that. Well, if we remove content item identity, the class, and we had a globally unique identifier as per the content item definition. Okay, and you never assign it because it always has a globally unique identifier. You could not be able to add, if you want to add custom identities, then you need the notion of content identity, the class we have for Orchard.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you should get rid of that one. I didn't understand that's what you were suggesting. Can I tell you how I do things in Descent?
Go.
So in Descent, I have a first class ID concept at the content item level, and it's a string, and any part can actually set that. But it has two parts. It has one part that is kind of a type information.
Oh yeah, because you need. Okay, that's good then. Yeah.
So for example, for a product, the identity is SKU column and then good. The SKU.
This is what I was coming to. So yes, because we can't just say identity equals something unless this something is two parts, like provider, identity provider.
Where it comes from.
Identity provider and identity.
No way to recognize it.
You can't query it and you can't compare them. Yep. I agree. Okay, so that's a solution. But
I know it works.
But in this case, there is a conflict between if you want to move the same content item into different system.
No. Why would there be a problem there?
There can be, well, you have always experienced things which worked. You have never experienced a system where you want to deploy a content item into another system. Okay. To migrate.
But on Orchard I have a lot.
You have a lot what?
I've experienced it a lot on Orchard, not on Decent. But so I built the deployment feature, which was probably the most complicated import-export thing.
Yes, and that's why you might agree that we need to be able to have multiple identities then.
I don't think that's true. That was a complicating factor, actually, more than anything. Did I completely rat hole that discussion?
I know. I think. No, I understand that it will work with a single identity, definitely, as long as we have provider and value separated. I'm afraid we will break a scenario.
I don't think we would.
Okay.
Let's have some more opinions on this. Let's have more people on the call. Maybe later after this meeting.
Example.
Let's start a thread on the forums, for example.
Last comment, just to show you where it could break. You have your system deployed, okay, on production. It's using the identity part. There is a single identity on the system. It's identity part : GUID, okay? You are then on your development machine or staging. You add a product part to the content items. It will override the identity with SKU 1 to 3. Now you want to deploy the content item. It can't find its source.
Well, it would need to have the product part on the other end as well. Otherwise,
you can't find its source because its identity changed.
Hold on. What would really happen is that your export, you would have a first export for the metadata and then the second export for the data, if you're doing things properly in that scenario.
No, because oh my god, no, because you will have you will have to remember the previous identity.
Sorry?
You will have to export the previous identity to the new identity and then the... okay, well, I don't think it will work in this case.
Yeah, that's sort of an edge case.
And that's not an edge case, that will be a bug. People will complain. Because they added an auto-route part to something. They added a product part to something.
Let's start a thread and let's lay out those problematic scenarios exactly and see if we can find solutions.
Okay. Have people been writing some things? Oh yes, they've been writing stuff and completely ignore them. Yes. Okay. At least we agree we need identity. Drupal doesn't have that, and they cry because they don't have that. Good. This was for identity. This was the thing. We talked about admin theme. Topics. So I have one topic here. Feel free to add more topics. Where is your comment, Matthew? Or do you want to explain your comment? We don't have to read it.
It's quite a long comment. The long and short of it is that I do not find that new admin menu to be very usable, because you're always travelling up and down the screen to get to bits, and it's fiddly and it's popping and disappearing, and it's just generally been annoying me since I've been working on the admin theme. It doesn't seem to make things better.
Why did you put your comment? I don't remember.
It's got a tag of discussion on the issues. Yeah. So.
So Matthew's comments, discussions, and then trying to answer Jasmin, Sipke, myself, to see what we can do. So some points. Okay, huge amounts of mouse travel. This one first, because this is the one I understood and I commented, so then I will ask some people to comment on that. So menu scrolling independently makes it more fiddly. Yes, so I remember a few weeks ago we talked about whether we should have the menu and the content be independent in terms of scrolling. So you could scroll the menu and you could scroll the content. They will be not related. And I was in favor of having them unrelated. This way, when you will scroll the content, you will not lose the location you are in the menu. Or you will not have to go at the top of your content back to be able to click on the menu. That was the concern. But then it was done this way. And now you're saying, well, now it's a lot of independent scrolling. So if you want to, you have to move your mouse to be able to decide what you want to scroll. Okay, that's your concern here. And what I'm suggesting for this one is, because there are pros and cons, and maybe people will like one or the other, like you just mentioned, to have a setting. So we could have a default one, which is the same behavior as virtual one, so everything's scrolled together. And then with a setting, we could change the way it works, and with JavaScript or whatever, so that then they are independent if you want them to be independent. But yes, I understand the concern that if you are there and you scroll, it will scroll the content, and if you want to scroll the menu, you have to go there and scroll the menu, and that's it. Questions, remarks on this one? Okay. First point. Other points. Everyone agrees or disagrees with the issue or the solution? Matthew, if you had a setting that will solve the issue?
Well, yep, that solved that bit, yeah.
So you say you prefer when everything scrolls together, right? Huge amount of mouse travel. So most of the time, because large icons and independent scrolling. Okay, let's remove the independent scrolling now. Large icons. I need to scroll the menu to get to the item I want to use. Well, this is what we just explained. Okay, it looks like the same issue.
No, well, it's different, because you get, if you're scrolling down, whether it's independently or as part of the page, because the menu's icons are so big, they go off the bottom of the page every time.
Okay.
So you have to scroll down, and then just as soon as you get, as soon as it comes available, you stop scrolling, you mouse down to there, and then mouse all the way back up to get to the sub-menu options, and then it's just a hell of a lot of mouse traveling.
Can we see? Can someone share the screen with admin and show this issue? And it will be probably related to this one, sub-menu pop-ups while scrolling, and how it works and what the issues are, and to see how bad it is. Can someone do that? Matthew or Sipke or Jasmin?
Yeah, just give me a minute, I'll try and get it. Okay, so can everyone see the admin dashboard? Yes.
It's beautiful. Now
Yeah,
the usability.
It is pretty, but I don't think it's very usable. So when you're going down, it's just popping up like that, and you don't really care about all these things popping up. You're just trying to get down to whatever you want to get to. Just going pop, 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 pop. And I just didn't really. I just found
You don't click anything, right? You just hover the menu.
Yeah, no, I'm just hovering down just to get down to, like, say, that one.
Do you have to click anytime? Like, if you get out of the menu and you hover without clicking,
yeah,
it shows up, okay, right?
Yeah, just hover over it and it comes up straight away. So because you have to scroll down to see the menu, because they're all got so big, you have to go, say, right down to like there, and you know it's right on layouts, so now I've got to go back all the way back up to the top.
Yeah, I can see that's an issue, yeah, in this case. So yeah, because it's aligned at the top, so you go down, it shows on top, so you have to move right first, not to lose your selection, and move up straight to keep it open, right?
Yeah.
Plus, as you hover over the various menu items, all those changes, it distracts a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the jarring submenu pop-ups while scrolling. Like while you're scrolling down, it's distracting. So another problem is that if you click on it and it goes to the page, because your menu is still hovering over it. Like, say, for example, if my mouse was there, it would have reloaded and popped it up straight away. And then you would go like that to whip to get back
so on a
in.
touch screen, good question from Rob. On a touch screen, you can drag it, you can scroll. You just move with your finger, it will scroll, it won't pop up. And when you tap, does it pop up or does it go to the link?
I think it goes to the link. It's not really been finished off for touchscreen and that kind of scenario yet. I mean, I think if we stick with this, it's going to need like a button on the bottom to scroll up and down and stuff like that. Because you can't have, there isn't a hover obviously, so you can't get to these submenus on touch. So that's separate issues if you keep in the menu. I think that is in the master list of things that need to be looked at though, to get it working on touch screen.
Okay, do we need actually to change this? Okay, I have a suggestion. What about adding a first level of menu items that is just categorizing the menu items and not making menu items? So that we will have maybe, like we designed for Orchard too, like a settings thing, and when you click on settings, then you see actual links. Like what? Because right now, if you click on blog, it will go to the blog page.
Yeah.
Okay, what we need is when you click on something, it shows the menu items, and then you can click on the menu items. So what you want is a click gesture, and then a click to select what you want. So 2 clicks.
Yes, if you want to get that scenario to work.
And because the icons are big, we need less icons at the first level.
That's also true, yes. But I still personally don't have much love for these types of menus because it's just hiding everything and making everything from 1 click into 2 clicks or 3 clicks now. Because if you're going to bunch a load of these underneath here, then you have to go into there and then pick one of your top level items now and then go down to a third level for these individual to get to this kind of thing.
Yeah, or show it like it was before on the current one, meaning you can have the 2 levels at the same time open with a little padding or chevron to show that the grouping.
Yeah, I mean, apart from it looking pretty though, I don't know what improvement it's supposed to be.
Pretty, it seems it's just supposed to be pretty. And mobile compatible too. That's why we have pick buttons, so we can tap them.
Mm.
So Soteris is sharing a link. Can you open it just to share? Because you're sharing, I'm opening it on my machine. On the chat, it is providing a link with WordPress.
Okay.
Well, this is WordPress previous version. It's not today's version, and it's like Orchard 1. I mean, it's like the current theme apparently.
Yeah, well, that one's, I think, is better than the current offering. That one still uses flyouts menus, doesn't it? So
if I open WordPress,
that is pretty much the current WordPress.
Yeah, but what happens if you have submenus in WordPress?
When you hover over them, it flies out into a box there, but if you click on it, then it'll show the submenus in this menu. Can I go to...
I have something open right now.
Yes,
Share my screen. Oh, you can connect? Or do you want me to connect? Okay, go. Yeah, you still have the old
stuff, and then when you click on it, it shows them all.
Oh, it's a flyout, and when you this is both.
Yeah, so quick access, and then once you're in there, it puts it as a top level.
So which means it works also with touch, because you touch, it drills down.
Okay. Yeah, you can't do the quick flyout on touch, but you can just tap it and get do it in 2 clicks.
And it's smaller because less vertical space. But at that point, well, it's different from Orchard 1 because when you click on Orchard 1, it opens the page. Here, all the things are subgroups, right? If you click on tools or users or plugins.
If you click on tools, it goes to available tools. Goes to the first one in its list.
It opens the page and shows the sub things.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it goes to the first. Okay, so okay. So it's never a link. For us, it's a link sometimes.
Sorry.
So category is never a link in this case. When you click, it will open general.
Yeah, it opens the first one off its list, which I think that's what the new admin theme is doing as well, isn't it? It's where is that?